with that in mind, what are the main areas that the clients need to be concentrating on to get in contact with you?
So I think it's probably threefold, three big things to be thinking about. First of all is where VAT is going to be incurred by a business, whether it's paying VAT on rent or on an acquisition or on a construction project. They need to be thinking about, is this actually going to be an absolute cost for us? So a lot of businesses that are VAT exempt are used to and understand that they often can't recover their VAT. Other businesses that are fully taxable, it can be quite easy for them to assume that we can definitely recover our VAT because we recover all the VAT that we pay. And often the answer might be somewhere in the middle of that. Basically, it comes down to exactly what are you going to be using this building for and why are you spending the money that then impacts whether it can be recovered. And where you're using it just for your day-to-day operational activities, that might be quite straightforward. But then when you throw into the mix that you might be buying a property with the intention of then, say, subletting part of it or only holding it for so long, it might be a sort of temporary stopgap measure and then you're planning on selling it. All those other things need to be taken into account of to decide whether VAT recovery is the right thing to do. I think a second thing to bear in mind is when you're kind of at the other end of that spectrum, you've had a property and you're looking to dispose of it. It might be a surplus building that you're going to sell. It might be that you're, say, exiting a lease, whether it's the landlord is going to pay you to leave early, whether it's that you're paying the landlord to leave. And in those situations, the business needs to understand, actually, do we need to be charging VAT on the money that we're receiving here? Again, getting the liability of the supply right is really, really important. And there's something called an option to tax, which can flip the treatment one way or the other. Businesses don't always fully understand the option to tax, so that's where we can step in and explain whether it would be advisable to use one or not. I think my third biggest sort of tip or thing for businesses to be looking out on is, I talked earlier about can you recover the VAT? Actually, there probably is a pre-step even before that. Let's make sure that you're not being charged VAT that you actually shouldn't even be needing to pay. So there's a raft of reliefs out there where VAT doesn't necessarily have to be charged at 20% on certain things. For example, you can have new dwellings and homes constructed at the 0 rate. You can have certain refurbishment or conversion works carried out at the 5% rate. And it's really important to make sure that you're not overpaying VAT, because if you have been charged something that wasn't truly chargeable in the first place, you're actually not allowed to recover it from HMRC. And again, a little war story or a sort of success story almost is I've been working with a client only this week who is a charity. They are in the middle of developing an old office building and having it converted into apartments for the homeless to live in. Their construction company that they're working with has merrily been charging VAT on all of the fees so far, probably thinking that they're doing the right thing. But luckily, someone within the client knew enough to sort of say, this doesn't quite pass the smell test. I think there's something in this where maybe we could not be charged VAT. They've then referred that client to us. We've done a review, we've agreed, and we've unlocked that actually a vast majority of these purchase invoices should only have VAT on them at 5%. So we're just about to approach the contractor to ask for all these invoices to be reissued, and that's going to be worth a couple of £100,000 to a charity. That's a charity who can't recover any of their VAT anyway, so it's a real good news story. But that very easily could have been missed, and then adding a few £100,000 on top of what is probably already a very tight budget. So something really valuable that we were able to get involved in.